Guess what? If you wake up feeling inadequate, that doesn't mean that you're lacking anything. I'm going to say that one more time. Just because you feel inadequate about anything in life, right? That's lacking. That doesn't mean you're lacking anything. That's just how you feel. But reality is, you absolutely have everything you need to succeed, to thrive, to heal, to grow, to release, to accept any situation that you have experienced. Any situation. And that takes a tremendous amount of self-worth, self-confidence, and belief. When we wake up and we feel like something's missing, it's because we're looking out the window. We're looking in the past. We're afraid of the future based on what's happened in the past. And all the answers to your problems are within. Nothing is without. And that's probably one of the hardest lessons and spiritual teachings to understand, because we're so caught up in the physical realm. But you're a spiritual being. I'm a spiritual being. Think about it. This is cliche. Think about it. Has anything ever come into existence without being first conceptualized in the mind? Think about it. Anything that is human-made. Has it ever come to be where you were walking in the desert and all of a sudden you trip over and there's a smartphone, but we've never had a smartphone, but it was under the dust and the sand, and it just manifested itself. No, it started in the mind. Everything starts in our minds. So when you wake up and you start thinking, right? It starts with thinking. You wake up and right away you're thinking negative thoughts. You're thinking about your problems. You're thinking about your loss. You're thinking about all the things that you wish were different about your life. And all of that thinking then does what? You have programmed and triggered yourself to now feel inadequate, to feel bad, to feel sad, to feel depressed, to feel alone, to feel unworthy, to feel unloved, to feel unappreciated, to feel unseen, to feel unheard. And the more that you focus on that, guess what? God, this reality, is going to give you more situations and circumstances for you to feel the way that you are focused on. It's that simple, but it's not that easy. And yet, there's so many of us that just don't want to accept, right? Acceptance. That you have the power. That right now you can flip a switch and go from grieving, sad, inadequate to abundant, prosperous, peaceful, joyful. And I know you want to fill in all the blanks about all the bad things that have happened to you versus what's happened to me. And that's not how this works. It's not how it works. But here is how it works. And this is my belief. Right? I see life and I see our lives as eternal. Right? We don't, this body is born, but the soul, does the soul die? Do you believe that when you die, you're dead? Or do you believe that energy never dies and that we live forever? And this is sort of that, division of beliefs in terms of life. And it's one of the wildest things is that we all lose things. Some of us lose material things. Some of us lose our own selves. Some of us lose our loved ones. We all lose something, but I'm going to guarantee you one thing that you will lose is yourself. You're going to die. This person will die, just like every other person out there. And guess what? Death cannot be without life. Just like negative thoughts can't be without positive thoughts. So if you're super negative, that means you got to be super positive, intentionally living life with positive affirmations. And, you know, I'm constantly thinking about this situation of denial. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and we're talking about how many people are triggered in all the election stuff and the politics and the social issues and, you know, even just their own situation, your own taking ownership of your own life. And yet he was talking about how someone was just in denial. And I said, well, you know, the grief cycle, right? The grief process cycle has 5 stages. And the first stage is, you guessed it, denial. Denial. And to me, when I look out on the world, when I look out at all the people that I encounter, most people right now are living in denial. Or one of the first 4 stages of grief. You're either in denial, where you're just like, what? This is crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. You know, I'm not going to believe this. I don't want to believe that. And you're just totally in denial. Then the next stage is you start to bargain, negotiating with yourself. Trying to get a sense of normalcy. Well, I don't know if that happened, or maybe it happened. And then after that comes depression. Then you're like totally just unmotivated, stuck in the rear view, just reliving all these memories of old, wishing things would be different. And then the 4th stage is anger. You're just fucking pissed. You're mad. I guarantee you the majority of humans, not all, but the majority of people are in one of those 4 categories for probably the majority of their awakening life. And I know this because I was in that stage. I know what it was I lost my dream. I've lost a lot, you guys. I've lost a lot. As a father, have I lost a child yet? No, I haven't had that loss. But I've lost just about everything else. And most importantly, I lost myself. And as I lost myself, I was grateful that I found who I was. And it took loss for me to hit that rock bottom moment. And so that final stage is acceptance. And this triggers people. This triggers people because we don't want to have to accept what is. And it's hard to accept what is, but it's even harder to accept what is when you don't have faith, when you don't have a big picture understanding as to what is life and death. Who are all these people? And I'm someone that I'm about to get esoteric, and so this may offend you, this may shut you down, and I don't care. See, this is a part of my story that you don't get to project what you want me to believe. I know I'm speaking my truth. I know what I have experienced, and I'm going to keep sharing my truth. And I appreciate all of those of you that are hearing this message. And it was really encouraging yesterday. Someone circled back and they took me up on the challenge to ask for a divine sign from God, something so wild and crazy that it would be so rare for it to happen. It would be like me walking out here right now. And 2 weeks ago, I said, hey, God, when I'm I want to see a bald eagle, right? I don't rarely see bald eagles, but if a bald eagle was to then fly overhead, that's like, whoa, that's crazy. And I asked for that to be a confirmation about something that I needed clarity on. And yet someone circled back yesterday. Thank you for doing that, because it's like, this is the true essence of life, is when we're doing life, but then we're giving back to others. We're speaking life. We're encouraging others. And I know that my light, your light, as you start to heal and join me on this self-improvement journey, it's gonna trigger people, especially people that want to be just sad and miserable and lonely, but they don't want to feel sad and miserable and lonely because they're depressed and they want it to be different. And that's acceptance, right? Acceptance is, God, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, and the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The wisdom. That's all Alcoholics Anonymous. The serenity prayer. That's serenity. We need serenity. We need peace. It's like, and it's not being insensitive, but I can hold space to grieve and mourn and try and console people about loss, especially death. We're very triggered by death. What I'm about to say is going to probably offend a lot of people, but it's my truth and I'm just sharing it with you. So throughout my healing journey, I've tried all kinds of spiritualism. I've tried all kinds of religions. And what I do realize is there is no life without death, and there's no death without life. And so those two things are in balance, and you don't just die for being a bad person or old. There's a million ways. We're all gonna die. And something that I genuinely believe in more and more, because it just makes sense and it just feels right, is I believe in reincarnation. I believe in past lives, that I've lived lots of lives and so have you, and that we're connecting because it's probably a soul tribe. We're probably soul connected. And so that maybe triggers you, maybe not, but stay tuned if it doesn't, because it's going to get good. And so if that is the case, a few years ago, I went on this trip to Arizona for this renewal health conference deal. And I booked this Airbnb to rent a room, which I usually never do. I always get my own place, but I was by myself and I booked a room. And the homeowner was there and we started connecting. And it was like, I went to go to this health conference, but to make the long story shorter, is I now know in retrospect, the reason why I went there, the reason why I booked this place was to meet this woman. And she did Akashic Record readings and clearings. And if you don't know what that is, Akashic Record is like your soul record. A lot of us are super, and this is just something I believe. I believe that we have lived many, many incarnations of ourselves. And the dynamics of the people in our lives are always changing from one life to the next. And what I mean by that is maybe your mom in this life was your daughter in the last life, right? Your son in this life was your dad in the previous life, or your lover. I mean, it sounds crazy. And go ahead and shut this off if you think I'm talking crazy. That's okay. I have had so many crazy experiences with this. So me and this woman just get to talking, and she reveals that she does these. And I was like, whoa, that's wild. And then I'm someone that also believes I see the synchronicities like crazy. And after this long journey going from New Mexico to Scottsdale, Arizona, I show up there and my odometer's like full of 7, right? And so I book this session with her and we talk about some of the clearings. And so this is what I want to say is a lot of your issues, your inadequacies in this life are based on past life wounds. I don't know how that sounds to you. I hope that you're open-minded to receive this, because this should give you a fresh perspective. And I don't know about you, but I sat down with this woman and she had this notebook and she had a crystal pendulum. And she just we talked about some people, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-wife, my parents, my mom, my dad, all these different people. And she would just ask these questions and she was trying to clear, right? Get to 100% clear from the past lives. And it was wild. What came up was, my ex-wife in this life, in a previous life, she was like I was basically murdered by my mom in a past life, my ex-wife, and my father. My father strangled me to death. It's kind of funny that everybody went after my neck, because there's something about my voice that's very triggering. I kind of have that herald, right? As you see right now. This is what's happening right now, and that's what's wild, right? It's like, so the father strangled me, my ex-wife chopped my head off, and my mom hung me. And I was sort of like kind of like a shaman, a spiritual, a healer, in a lot of these situations, kind of a rabble-rouser, stirring up trouble with whether it was the clergy or the political elite. And it's similar to some of the situations I've had in this life. And that's why I'm just sitting there open-minded. I go do these things open-minded, right? And that's been a part of my thing, is when I tell you need to let go of all this stuff, there are so many things you believe that are not your beliefs. You've been programmed, and a lot of it is a part of your experience as a human, is for you to it's like sort of the game. The game is for you to realize, oh wait, this false belief was implanted in you, and the way that you get to the next level is to release the false belief and then truly ascend and transcend into your true self. Because the false belief is the thing that you're holding on to that actually isn't your truth. And so, I'm sitting there with this lady, she's doing all this stuff. And the craziest thing is I had an emotional meltdown on my way to this trip. And I was a mess. I was a mess when I showed up to this woman's house, because I had passed through a town where my ex lived. And for whatever reason, it just triggered a lot of old residue and emotions. And so I get there and it's like, I just felt it was divine. I don't know if you guys have had these types of alignments, synchronicities. Some of y'all even just say, man, this showed up right at the right time. Thank you so much. If you think that's coincidence, then okay. I believe it is the design. It is alignment. We are soul tribe. This is how we truly connect and benefit each other along this path. We're all walking each other home. And so the crazy thing is I'm sitting there and she's just asking questions. I'm not in any kind of a trance or any kind of weird, I'm just sitting there. She said, here's a piece of paper, write down notes, whatever comes up, write down stuff. And she started just going through all these stories and clearing lives and with multiple lives with every single one of these people. And I'm just sitting there. And as I'm sitting there, I'm literally feeling more and more relaxed, more and more at ease, more and more peaceful from within. It was like these burdens. And she's like, yeah, this is literally... When we talked after, she's like, yes, you had all these blockages from previous lives that you're still carrying around, and now you're not. You've cleared it. You've cleared the pain. You've cleared that suffering. And so here's where it gets wild with the grief, especially in terms of life and death, is what is your faith? Do you think that when you die, when you breathe your last breath, that everyone you've lost, from dogs to children to parents to friends, do you think you never see them again? Or do you think that we're reunited in the spiritual realm? Do you feel that we choose to come to this planet as sort of like a game? I always feel like we must be so bored AF in the spiritual realm that we need to go through this gauntlet, man, this crazy shit on this planet, this real heavy, dense 3D dimension of life where the veil is over our eyes and we've totally forgotten our power and our true essence, that we are limitless, that we are infinite beings, infinite. And so we create all these stories about this world, about this planet, and about, that's my child. I learned this through therapy, that when you put labels like that on your children, it's toxic. Possession over another human being, whether it's your kid, right, your spouse, it's a toxic form of terminology, because at the end of the day, they're not yours. I always have looked at my children as being here to teach me. And so I don't say my children, like it's an ownership thing. That's the thing. And if you think I'm wrong, so be it. I know that stuff triggers people because we need to feel like we have ownership and control over stuff. And it's like, none of what I'm saying is be irresponsible and unloving. It's just, it's a trauma response where an authoritarian thing of like, you're mine. And that's the shit I grew up with, right? I brought you in, I can take you out, right? And my heart goes out to anybody that's ever lost. I have a family member that lost her son, my cousin, recently, in the last few years, and I see her grief all the time. She's grieving every day, and my heart just, and I know that anything I say, it comes across insensitive. But I just have a different belief, and you can keep your beliefs. If you want to grieve for your entire life, that's fine. I had an epiphany when I was running a Veterans Resource Center. I had built out the program at a local community college. And suicide in veterans is still a big thing. It's a huge thing in men in general, 2,000 every day, 22 a day for vets. And so there was a lot of combat vets coming through the door looking to use their benefits. And I was just grateful to be there. It was heavy. It was heavy, heavy, heavy that we did have a few veterans that took their lives. And it just, man, it really grieved me. It really grieved me. And, the death thing is a sensitive subject. And so, when I think about this subject, I know that, and when I talk about it, forget my thinking, I know what my beliefs are. I know that my beliefs are that we all get reunited. I really do believe this, that we're all here, and that when we claim that someone's ours, right? Oh, so I lost my train of thought. I can't bullshit you guys. I don't bullshit myself. I did lose my train of thought, but it's back. So when I was in that season of running the Veteran Resource Center, I used to go to I call them dog and pony shows, but it was Veterans Day and Memorial Day and like these big kind of political events, right? Where we'd go to the National Cemetery and, lay wreaths and, just honor those that have served, those that are no longer with us. And in this season, I had a veteran that was working with me take his life. It was literally right around this season. It was on my birthday. And it hit home. It hit right here. Oh, man. I was like, oh, no. Which is a bad analogy because that's what happened. And I just remember coming out of the winter. Everyone was just really shocked because we were all trying to get this guy help. And it just didn't happen fast enough. But I remember coming into the next season, into the summer, Memorial Day. I remember usually I'd go to the cemetery and do all that. And I just remember this, and this is what I want to share with you guys, to maybe shift your perspective. If you've listened this long, thank you so much. I know this is a sensitive subject. I know that, again, I've said it in the past, no one can really move you in terms of your grief, but acceptance is a powerful thing. If you're still carrying around anger or depression, wishing it was different, or just angry that it happened, that means you're still stuck. You're stuck. And and I'm hoping that what I'm about to speak maybe shifts something in you to set you free. Because it set me free. And so, because I took this death really personal. I mean, for it to happen on my birthday, for it to happen with someone that I was helping out spiritually and mentoring, and just, I saw the potential in him breaking through his pain, which is at the root of the suicide. And so I just remember for Memorial Day, that waking up that morning, and I just had this premonition as if, like, everyone that had fallen, all those that were dead, right, before me, all those that had laid their lives down in foreign lands to defend our freedom, our pursuit of happiness, our liberty. And I just said, what, and it just came upon me where it was like, if they were to give me a message, right, if from beyond the grave, if all those that have fallen, everyone that was dead, the person that you are missing so much because they're dead, if they were to give you a message from beyond the grave, and they're watching you right now. They're seeing you miserable, depressed, like unmotivated, grieving their loss. Like, they're no longer here, and they're still here, but they're not here in the physical, and they're watching you suffer, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical suffering, because you're just in this perpetual state of grief. What do you think they would tell you? Do you think they would be touched? Do you think they would be so grateful and thankful and appreciative that you are literally sacrificing your life on this planet to memorialize and commemorate their life and them no longer being here? And I'm not saying this with any sarcasm. Do you think that that soul, that person that you love so much, that when they see you in all that suffering and all that sadness and all that grief, that they would be just like, oh, I'm so thankful that I haven't been forgotten. I'm so thankful that my loved one is living such a miserable life because I'm no longer there? Do you think that that would be what the message is? I don't believe that that would be the message. I believe they would say, if you want to honor me, listen up. I've heard this message. It came through and it changed my life. If you want to honor me, don't go to my gravesite. I'm not there. If you truly, truly want to honor me and my loss, please live your life to the fullest. Live your life to the fullest. Because here's the thing. This is the person from beyond the grave. They can no longer love you. They can no longer celebrate. They can no longer make love. They can no longer go for hikes. They can no longer take care of their bodies. They can no longer smile and laugh and sing and dance. They can't, none of that exists in the physical anymore. And yet, the way you honor them is by living your life for as long as you have until up to your fullest. And instead, see, we've created this attachment. It's a negative attachment. I know you don't want to hear this. It's a negative attachment. It's a toxic attachment when you lose somebody and now you have to sacrifice your joy, your abundance, your prosperity, your success, your happiness, your peace as a tradition, which is a false belief of somehow showing honor that this person's gone. We grieve it. It's like we lost a part of ourselves. But the way that we respond is to what? Stop living life, just existing and being sad all the time? It's having the courage to accept the things you cannot change and the strength to change the things you can. If you're feeling that sad and lonely and depressed, I do recommend professional medical help, getting therapy. But I'm speaking to you from the spiritual realm. You will be reunited with this person. They're here right now. And it makes them so sad that you can't release your grief, your loss, your guilt, your shame, to just release it. And then to cultivate, I'm going to live my best life from here on out. To honor. The honor is in living life to the fullest because they can't do it right now. So by you being miserable, how does that honor them? In a state of mourning, loss. And then you have to ask yourself, what is your belief? Do you truly believe that they are gone, forever and ever? Or did this happen for you to grow, for you to truly become more? Loss does some wild things to us. It's probably one of the biggest lessons on this planet is how to deal with loss of all types. And the thing that I've learned is the way you get through it, the way you get to acceptance, you can't just say you accept it. You got to show. And by showing it means that you recover from the loss, right? Recovery means to regain a sense of fullness so that, and releasing the inadequacy, the lack, and you start to truly live the most incredible life. Live the most incredible life. No excuses. Go all out. Honor that person by living your most incredible, abundant, fulfilled life right here, right now. I know this was a tough one. I hope that I made some sense out of this. I shared with you a little bit more of my beliefs. I didn't get into religious stuff. I don't like the religious stuff, right? I know that I am here speaking a message in full alignment with God. God is love. God is unconditional love. He accepts you for who you are right here, right now, but he doesn't want you to stay there. Don't stay there. Know that if you know you could be more, then you have to be willing to be more. Be more abundant, be more happy, be more optimistic, be more positive, be more loving, be more kind. And guess what? When you become those things, you get more of that in return. And I think that's what this is all about, is getting back what we give. Give life, give love without strings attached. Give generosity, give kindness. Give a compliment to somebody that it's not about hooking up or flirting. Just be nice, be kind, be thoughtful, see people that maybe aren't seen right now. that are feeling invisible. And if you feel like you're unseen, you're unheard, you're unloved, you're unworthy, well then join me on this self-discovery, spiritual journey towards self-mastery, to becoming the best version of you. You can start by downloading the Results Kill Excuses app. You can subscribe to the channel, keep checking out the messages. If you're new here, welcome. And if there's plenty of content for you to go through, and I'm gonna keep getting on here, keep speaking this truth. And if it resonates with you, just know your time is now. You don't have to do it alone anymore. We can do this together. I'm in it to win it. My heart, my soul is to serve you, to speak life into you, to cheer for you, to give of myself for you. The only thing I can't do is the work for you. I can walk with you, I can talk with you, I can encourage you and inspire you, but you got to do the work necessary day in and day out. You have to fall in love with this self-improvement process. Looking in the mirror instead of looking out the window and looking into the past. Look inside yourself. Look in the mirror. Give yourself permission to make some improvements today. Start small, but start now. I love you guys. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.